and the assistant general manager. In advance of the meetings, they requested copies of our plans, that some additional design renderings and elevations for the rec center. They were not able to access some of the files, so we created a Google Drive for them, just for them to be able to download our documents, which included both CEQA studies, as well as design plans, renderings, elevations, etc. It was a coordinated effort with the design consultants to pull all the document together for them. We provided those documents to them a week in advance of the meeting, and yesterday we had the big meeting with them, where we looked at the plans for the rec center, for the park, the transportation, circulation, parking, the environmental documents, CEQA document studies that have been prepared to date. And we had a very productive discussion. They were very open to our project. They thought we were going in the correct direction. We discussed about 15 items and for follow-up. Some of them with the county, some of them with Caltrans, some of them with our consultants, some of them looking at the local coastal plan. So we're very hopeful that we're going the right direction. We're going to get back to them with their comments after we coordinate with Caltrans and internally with our civil designers on some drainage issues, looking at some parking. They had questions about, for example, EV requirements for charging, crosswalks across to rec center. Those are some of the examples. Noise analysis, which will be available to them soon. So we hope that by March, we will have the draft CEQA document available for them. They'll like to take a look at it before we release it for public and agency review. So that is currently our schedule to have it ready for them by March. Follow up on these 15 items with them, coordinate with Caltrans, prepare some additional studies and documentations, and put the initial study together for them to review before we release it for public and agency reviews. That was pretty much what I have for you for this past month. I'll be happy to respond, discuss any questions.
Ray, was there, this is actually just my own ignorance, but our CDP is with the planning department, and then after we get all the way through and get that permit, then we start over again with the building department, right?
That's correct. We discussed several things that we need to have. We need a CDP, which is the coastal development permit from the county. We also need a use permit to operate this as a park and a rec center. There is a design review that needs to be done, and we just talked to the county. They already reviewed some of our design, and they think we're going in the right direction. They're going to do a final design review with the county staff. There's a grading permit needs to be issued by the Public Works Department. And also we have to merge the parcels, all the parcels that contain the 7.7 acres. They like to only deal with one parcel. So once the CDP is approved, it's going to be good for 3 years. And we have to complete construction, obviously, within that 3 years. However, they have the jurisdiction rights to give us a 3-year extension after the first 3 years. So that's the period after the CDP that we have to complete the project.
Great, thank you. That's very useful. Thank you. So no red flags so far.
Yeah, I was very actually encouraged by their the fact that they actually reviewed all our plans and all the environmental documents we submitted to them the prior week. They were very happy with the fact that we're not really increasing the height request, which is 16 feet for the rec center. They were fine with the flat roof on the rec center, and also the overall direction of the design. They were very happy that our design kind of blends with the environment compared to some other projects that is coming forward in front of them. I was very encouraged personally. I was very impressed by their professional attitude towards our project and the fact that they actually did their homework and reviewed all the documents. We provided quite a bit of documents for them, so it was quite a bit of work for them to review all that before the meeting.
Great, excellent. Any other questions for Ray?
Thank you as always.
That's glad to see the progress going. Those are important meetings.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. It was very encouraging, as I said. We look forward to see how this comes about once we follow up with their questions and have a follow-up meeting with them.
I have a feeling that once we have a community center in the unincorporated area, county will be thinking of lots of ways to use it.
Yes. Yeah, there also was very much concerned that we do not use their parks resources for this. So Director Dai assured them that this is going to be a district operation of maintaining the park and the rec center, and they were happy about that.
Yeah, there are other people who can clean the park and clean the restrooms.
That's the whole point of becoming a community service. So we'll have the resources to do.
Yeah.
Thank you to our community.
Okay, any other comments for Ray? Thank you, Ray. Keep on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Moving on to any comments from the public on the parks and everything? Not so far. Okay. Hope, go ahead on the report on planned recreation events.
We have a few things coming up. We did confirm with the bookmobile. So the San Mateo County Library bookmobile is going to start coming to our parking lot on the second and fourth Monday of each month. And that'll start on March 11th. And they'll do that through the middle of May, see how it goes, make sure they're getting good turnout. So we want to really encourage people to go down and take advantage of that. Otherwise, we may not be able to continue it. So that will start in March. We are all set and confirmed for our Easter egg hunt, which we're actually calling an egg warm-up hunt since it's a week and a day prior to Easter. So we have we've figured out some paper mache type eggs that can be stuffed with candy. We're really determined to make this a no plastic event. Especially just in case not all the eggs are found. We don't want to leave little pieces of plastic anywhere. So the candy that's going inside will be wax paper wrap, like Starburst or something like that. And we're also going to have a dog costume contest at that event so that all of our Granada residents who have dogs as opposed to children can participate. Yay. So I'm hoping people will put Easter bonnets or rabbit ears on their dogs and bring them in. We'll have a contest, and if a board member or two would like to volunteer to judge that, we will need judges.
Sounds great.
That's going to be on March 23rd from 10 to noon at Quarry Park. And San Mateo County Parks is obviously going to be there and helping us get that all set up and going. So we thank them for that help. The Recology Recycling Day is April 20th. And following that morning, 8 to noon recycling part, we're then going to have an Earth Day, Community Earth Day event in the parking lot. So far, I've got about 7 agencies and nonprofits confirmed. So we will immediately after the trucks pull away, we will set up tables and tents right there along that same area in a nice line. And we'll be able to have a sort of resource fair, but also some events. I believe Sea Hugger's going to do a beach cleanup and then bring the garbage back and do some sort of an art installation. Recology is going to have a trash sorting game with bean bags with pictures on it to toss things into different bins. So we'll have a number of things happening that day. So that's going to be April 20th from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock.
Let's have a park plan booth.
Of course, yeah,
Yes,
we'll have
so
the district will have a table and we'll have lots of information about the park plans.
Yeah.
So absolutely. And then the only other thing I've reached out to the Harbor District and they're definitely interested in doing a Harbor History Walk, and that'll probably be in April. So I'm just trying to fill in a February and a May slot for now. So that'll get us through the end of May for our events. The next newsletter should be coming out next week with all of this information. So keep an eye out.
Fantastic. Well done. Great job.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great.
what times did you say the bookmobile would be there?
The bookmobile will be there from 2 to 3:30.
That's good.
Yeah, so that's
Like
hopefully gonna second and fourth Mondays, there is a flyer I'll send out to everybody after. And it'll also, of course, be in the newsletter. So
And
hopefully we're catching some of the kids after school that way too.
I want to say I love that you've made the Easter egg hunt a no plastic event. That's, I think we
Thank
should
you.
all start striving for that a
Absolutely.
lot more, and I've seen a lot of plastic eggs in previous years out there.
And they will be stuffed with things that are not plastic either. It's bad enough the egg, but then inside there's usually lots of little plastic pieces as well. So we're gonna do away with that.
It's really nice, and actually maybe one of the things we can highlight to the planning commission on another day is, although we are not going to be dependent on county parks, we do actually partner with county parks to sort of do things for the community as well.
Absolutely. Good point.
We're happy to have us pay for part of the contract, but don't ask for a penny for your part. Okay, any other comments on Parks and Rec? Any comments from the general public on Parks and Rec before we move on? Let's see, any? Okay, let's move to request from Sewer Authority Midcoast side for an amendment to the SAM general budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 and associated GCSD resolution. We did talk about this at our last meeting because we knew that this was coming, but you want to?
Right, so they've officially sent it over to us, so the SAM board passed circulating the budget amendment to 3-member agencies. As I pointed out in my staff report, Montara has already approved it. Half Moon Bay did not approve it. They said before they approved that they wanted a stipulation, which we've discussed, at previous meetings, and I don't want to discuss here because it's part of the lawsuit. But they have made theirs contingent on passage of a stipulation. So that's the spot we're in now. It would be my recommendation, based on Matthew and Barbara's input, obviously, is that we approve the budget amendment moving forward so Sam could fund the required projects.
In line with
As
Sam's
part of-
request.
Yeah, in line with Sam's request and as part of the ERF settlement, possibly more importantly. So, as I point out again, just for the public, Sam entered into a settlement agreement with the Ecological Rights Foundation in August of 2019, which required them to upgrade the Princeton pump station and replace the Montero force main. Sam board approved that settlement agreement. Now we're in the process of building those Sam's in the process of going to build those projects, and this is the funding for them.
Yeah, critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
And if I can just add a little bit, not only are these required by ERF, they're both projects that in different ways need to be done. The Princeton pump station, while there was some flexibility in when it would be done at this point, because the feasibility study that was done showed that it needed to be done. It is high on the list. And what happened was that everyone thought that we would have the lawsuit resolved by this past fall. Don't think it really occurred to anyone that the court would say, oh, it has to go back to trial. We all thought it was going to get resolved one way or another. So Sam entered into a contract to perform that task for, 1.6 million. And then there are additional costs of, about $1 million, which is all the construction management and environmental review and, all of those issues. That contractor was just about to really start work. They put up the chain link fence at Princeton Pump Station and brought in 2 pieces of equipment. At our last SAM meeting, we told them to hold, but they are about to take delivery of the large replacement Princeton Pump Station, which is going to have to somehow sit there in that parking lot. And there are issues around protecting it. It's not meant to sit out in the open air. It's probably fine because it's meant to go into water, but still, things have been ordered and are ready to be delivered. We really need to move forward with this contract because it started. So that's that one. Yeah.
Or just as I recall, at the time that budget was agreed, it was agreed to put off approving this until a mid-year, reconsider, I think, at a mid-year adjustment because of the expectation that the appeals court would be finished.
Yes, but we did agree, there was already 1.2 million in the budget for it that had been approved by Half Moon Bay. So they have already agreed to some extent fund this project. And now the balance, they're not agreeing to, and the contractor, of course, would like to be paid the entire amount. So,
For the entire project.
yes, and so the contractor, it's going to be very difficult if the contractor has to, you know, if the hold continues and all this equipment comes, I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. It's just really not great that that project isn't moving forward. There's a little more flexibility in the force main, which Montero wants us to stop calling the Montero force main, since it really is a SAM force main in Montero. That one needs to be repaired. Don't think there's really much doubt about that, especially based on what happened. The constraining thing there is really the ERF lawsuit. So on the Princeton Pump Station, we not only have the ERF lawsuit, we have all these issues around the contract that's already been issued. So both are really important. And as one of your SAM reps, I strongly recommend that we approve these budget amendments. And then we got to talk about how we're going to come up with the money.
And like I was the alternate last meeting, so I thought also that like Half Moon Bay said that they were going to, their meeting falls, like they've already had their meeting and they said they would vote, and if they voted, they'd be happy to do an emergency or like a off-cycle
They
meeting.
voted no.
They voted no, okay.
They want a stipulation,
That was the position.
Yeah.
Okay,
which
got it,
we're going to discuss in closed session.
got it.
So,
Well,
so I'd like, yeah, I'll make a
Yes,
motion.
actually.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the budget amendment for the sewer authority Midco side. Understanding that it just, this is a side, not part of the motion, that it's going to cost us and our ratepayers a lot of money, but we have to do.
And the associated GCSD resolution.
And the associated PCSD resolution.
I seconded it.
any
Anyone-
further
I
comments?
also strongly support, because it's just plain necessary. As part of it explained in sufficient detail, to see that Sam's already given this contract, and the contractor has station people and equipment out there, and they can't do it. And so we really need to pass this. But I do have a question about how this affects our budget.
Well,
We're looking at later rates, our rates, but that's not going to be for another fiscal year. So
This year, it's going to cost us, for this particular amendment, it's going to cost us $404,000, which is within our, we still have ample reserves, is the way.
Yes,
I understand.
and then Matthew, you and I have talked about this, and I have finished my analysis. It was long and deep, but I finally figured that out, so we could talk about that later on. But it's an interesting question, because if Half Moon Bay doesn't approve the amendment, which they don't show any signs of doing, we don't have any expenditures because the budget amendment hasn't been approved at SAM. And quite honestly, even if they do, they're not going to need the money next month and next month and next month, because we already funded $1.23 million of it from the 2023 fiscal year budget. So we've got some runway to, some latitude to do that. But someone mentioned something about Half Moon Bay as approved funding. Half Moon Bay seems to have a pattern of approving the project, but not the actual funding. So our wording is specific there. Yeah.
And
So that will obviously impact our budget, and it's $400,000 more. And part of what's driving our sewer rate study, and whatever next item, is that kind of stuff. We had said, hey, Sam's going to spend $2.5 million a year in CIP, and that's what we budgeted for. Then it became $3.5 million. Now it's become, whatever the force main is going to cost, $10 million.
10 million is the number to throw around, so that's the
Right.
concern. That's really.
So that's $2 million
For the next item.
just there for us.
But ultimately, This is aging infrastructure.
So can we just move on?
Yeah, so it's, you know, we have to pay for aging infrastructure in our sewer system. So before we move on to a vote, I want to just check if there are any,
Michelle.
Michelle had her hand up. I just want to see if there are any comments from the
Yeah, I
community.
just wanted to say that Montera, they approved it without stipulation. For whatever that's worth.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We, ready for roll call?
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dodd,
Hi.
Director Marsh,
Aye.
Director Randall.
Aye. Motion passes, so we'll
Or let's note 4-0.
note, on to the next item. Sorry, I get back to my presentation. Consideration of sewer service charge rate study proposals. Chuck.
Okay, as we've been discussing, I've been doing a deep dive into the parks and sewer budgets to segregate reserves and things like that. And coupled with all these capital projects at SAM, it looks like we're going to have to do a rate increase potentially. So what the study will do, we'll take a look at our rates, look at our expenditures for the coming year and the coming 3 and 5 years, and pencil out what we need to collect from the ratepayers to pay for all these large projects. So we've gotten 3 bids from consultants I've worked with in the past, Harrison Associates, Bartle Wells, and what's Isaac's. He's got he used to work at another place, but he formed his own company. And so our recommendation is we go with Bartle Wells. Bartle Wells is the people who did our last sewer service charge study. They do a good job. They're local, they're efficient, they get it done quickly. And so I recommend we go with them. And what'll happen is they'll do this look ahead. I've already done a look ahead in my 5-year things, but they produce a report that says, here's what we've got to do. So,
And just to be clear, that all we're doing tonight is setting up the study. We're
right.
not raising
Just gonna
rates.
do
We're
the
just
study. We're
setting up
look
the
at
study.
this, yeah, because we're in the 3rd year of a 3-year rate increase.
One thing that, as we talk about rate increases, I would just reiterate, and that's when Measure G passed in 2014. Up to that time, the property tax that we received every year had been basically subsidizing the sewer rates. And the community agreed in Measure G to shift property tax to parks and recreation, which as of 2 years ago, all of the property tax is being allocated to parks and recreation.
Right, yeah.
And so as we're looking at future increases, there is a chunk of property tax that still we've been allocating to sewers, and that's ERAF.
Right.
ERAF is basically derived from property tax, like a refund to us, but it's also something that is metastable. A year ago, or 18 months ago, they were looking at basically reclaiming ERAF.
I talk about it all the time.
I just saw something from the county that the state is reclaiming property tax refunds they were getting from the state related to vehicle license fee changes eons ago, which could give them a $70 million budget shortfall. And so I feel like, you know, the gremlins will be after ERAF again, but because it is something that is not stable, could go away at any time. And because it's property tax and not sewer fees, I think we should look to the future as we're looking at fees to not be dependent on ERAF, and that sewer fees pay for sewer costs.
Yeah.
And we really have a very clean bucket for sewer fees paying for sewer costs.
And that's how government code reads. It's how the state legislative analyst office looks at this kind of stuff. You know, we're called an enterprise district, it's a business type district. You should collect money through service charges to pay for sewer services. It's interesting you call ERAF a refund. Well, it's actually money they took from us first. So
And then you get it back.
I guess that's a refund. But
Yes, but it's
right.
but it's not
A
that-
lot of other places don't get it, remember, a lot of counties up and down the state don't get it, so.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
And the motion is to approve entering in a contract with Bartle Wells for our service infrastructure study.
Yeah.
So, moved by, Director Dye, seconded by Director Clark. Do we have any further comments from the board? Do we have any comments from members of the public? I'll get this down sometime then. Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dodd,
Aye.
Director Martin, hi, Director Randall.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, moving on to public hearing, consideration of approval of ordinance number 177, an ordinance regarding compensation directors of the Granada Community Services District. This is the second reading. The first reading was in December. I do want to highlight that the version that was in the agenda pack didn't include actually the revision that we had agreed to in December. So I do want to read that revision into the record. But short of that, the ordinance is ordinance number 177, an ordinance regarding compensation of directors of the Granada Community Services District. The short form is this would raise compensation for directors for the first time since 2002 and raise it from $145 per day of service to $190 per day of service, which is equivalent to the SAM's rate. MWSD is now about $170. And I looked up parts. I mean, the water district is $150 per day of service, but they have more days. We're limited to 6 days of service. So do we have a motion to waive the second reading of the ordinance except section 1.3, which I,
So moved.
Second.
okay, let me just read section 1.3 into the record. Representation of the district at a public meeting or a public hearing conducted by another public agency, provided that the board of directors has previously approved the member's representation at a board of directors meeting, and that the member delivers a written report to the board of directors regarding the member's representation at the next board of directors meeting following the public meeting or public hearing. This is the revision. However, if another public agency also provides compensation for such public meeting, a director shall not be paid by the district unless such other agency compensation is less than $190, in which case the district shall pay the difference between such other agency compensation and $190. Have any further comments from the board? Any comments? I'll open the public hearing. Have any comments from the public, and do we have any emailed or mailed comments?
We didn't receive any email or written.
Seeing no comments from the public, we close the public hearing. And do we have a motion to approve the ordinance? So moved.
Second.
Moved by Director Randall, seconded by Director Clark. Any further comment from the board?
They were worth it.
We're earning it lately, right?
Any further comment from members of the public? Seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dodd,
Aye.
Director Marsh. Aye. Director Randall. Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 5, consideration of GCSD construction specifications and details.
Okay, this is just an update, so I think I can't remember, 2002 or 2004 was the last year we had updated the GCSD specs and details. It's pretty obtuse reading. I'm joking with Barbara, it's second only to the sewer system management plan.
Here, I got a copy of it.
47 pages, right.
It's cool. It's
So
kind
basically, John Rayner and his team at Kennedy Jenks have updated our standard specifications and details. There's not a lot of,
manholes are like.
yeah.
Really cool.
Do they still call them manholes?
The personal.
Oh, okay.
There must be another name.
No, it's even worse.
No, you said the someone's had access manholes,
Access points or
access, right?
Yeah.
Access point covers.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, this is just ministerial in nature. It's just good to have it on the agenda and your board approve it, so it sets a time and stuff, so.
I appreciated the cover memo, it can be the short form.
Yes, and we didn't kill trees by printing them out.
Yes.
I still may need it all.
So like
Because I
it
would-
specifies what kind of paint you can use by brand and the various types. I mean, it's very thorough, which just, I think people should know that we have an engineer who's worked really hard on this and that this is part of what GCSD does. It's not the glamorous part.
Yeah.
Doing these things, we still have some old pipes, though we've been fixing them up as we go along. And when we fix them up and when we operate them, we do them properly.
I thought it was interesting that one of the updates is that the access points,
For ports, you need to access ports.
Yeah.
the access ports cannot no longer have a ladder because of corrosion of the ladder. And if you step on it, it would fall in. So you have to bring a ladder to put down the hole.
Right, which actually makes a lot of sense because the sulfides eat those things up
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense.
quickly, yeah,
So that was one of the major changes.
yeah.
Okay. Any other?
Oh, I do have one other comment, which is, one of the things I wished we had is at the beginning, there's this really nice map of the sewer system, but it's just the boundaries. This map that's in here, it's really nice. I've seen the map on the wall that actually shows where all the lines are. Yeah, but a smaller version. Can we, I've seen like a version like this. I would love to have a version like that, a copy.
Well, we can print them
11
any
by 17.
size.
Yeah, could we
Yeah.
just?
Yeah, 'cause it is nice to see where
Look
the-
something
where the-
up, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, where they cross the
How
road.
big do you want it? If you print
I
that
just
like
like
11
It's, you're not gonna be able to see anything. Yeah.
11 by 17, you won't be able to read it.
Well, there's one on the wall in there. I want one the size of the one in the wall in there.
Okay, so that's
Pretty big.
2 foot by 3 foot.
24
by
by 30.
See, I'll keep it
Yeah.
built up on my desk or something,
There you
but
go.
it's just like,
Right,
if
but
if you get a variance or you get somebody's gonna build and you wanna look up where it is, it's kind of interesting to be able to do that, and we don't, or can it be online?
Well, we have access to it online through our GIS system, so when we need to check something, we're able to see everything.
Yeah. Call me crazy, but that would be.
But it's actually one of the things that I have sort of on my long-term list of things to do is to get an updated map from County Jinx that shows the pipes that have been replaced. It's similar to, it's actually back in the office now, but it shows the dates on the pipes, approximate. And the ones that have been replaced in the sewer replacement CIPs are not represented on that. For at least since 2010, I think, so it would be nice to get something up to date. See where those new lines.
That version, Jackie.
Yeah, you want the.
And you have a big open space on one of your walls?
Yeah, she's gonna frame it and put it.
She has a sewer room, okay, like some
Sewer
people
room.
have wrapping rooms.
I actually have a piece of the 1908 sewer pipe.
She did. She collected the terracotta.
Found it. I got it when they were doing a repair. So,
Okay. Any further comment or any comments from the general public?
yes,
Seeing that, do we need a motion to?
Yes,
move this
please.
forward?
I move that we approve the specifications and details of the construction specifications and details as presented.
I second. Any further comment?
Well, I saw this thing on page 83 that I didn't like. No comments.
I knew it was 83 pages. Any more comments from the general public? Seeing none, Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dye,
Aye.
Director Marsh,
aye.
Director Randall,
Aye.
motion carries.
Okay, item 6, the engineer's report.
And Don has put his report in the agenda, and anyone have any comments, questions?
Oh, this, the Naples Beach easement,
Yeah,
we had a sewer line running in that we replaced that. It was already, we
No, we
already
put
had
a new one in.
we replaced it. That was there.
Right,
I was there too.
correct.
And so we didn't have an easement?
No, we had, let's call it a rite of passage. I think it's for teenagers. It's a rite of access or something like that. So we had that temporarily because the person at State Parks, when we started this, probably literally 7 years ago, after 3 or 4 years, finally said, this is gonna take too long to get an easement. Why don't we give you this right to access? You can put it in and then we can follow up with the easement. So that's how we were allowed to build the line there, but we didn't have the easement yet.
But there was originally a line there?
Half of it had a line.
There was, when we,
Part of it was
when
on,
we
part of it wasn't.
reversed, you know, if the Naples Beach pump station is here and the bridge was over here, we reversed the flow. It used to flow this way. So we took the existing alignment and instead of flowing it this way, we flowed it this way, covered the Naples Beach pump station.
Right.
So it's in the same alignment. It just got a completely different tilt, if you will.
We didn't have an easement for that original pipe.
We did, well, depends on where you are in that segment, the state parks land, and it might have been grandfathered in, but there
Part of
was
it
a
we
section
added a
we
new
did
pipe.
have, right.
It has,
Part of it is the
section
new
we
pipe,
did.
and part of it was replacing an old pipe because they had to make it much
Because
deeper.
there was state parks, there was, I think I gotta remember this from memory,
Remember we walked-
railroad easement.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure that property was not state parks.
I think it was a railroad.
It was the railroad
Right,
right
a
away.
long
when you
time,
do,
yeah.
when you do new construction, it's a different easement than the pipes in there and you have an easement now. If you go dig stuff up, it's a different easement. So now you need a new one plus that, so.
Because it picked up all of the stuff from the end of that road and brought it back, not just the stuff that had been going across the bridge. So it rerouted all of that stuff to the pump
It
station.
rerouted the
condos,
condos on the
yeah.
bluff and then it kind of wraps around and goes down, maybe 4 or 5 houses, the condos, and a couple of them.
Yeah, there's a manhole there. That's the, an access
Or
point.
person accident.
That's the,
Percent accident.
Yeah, it's gonna be it.
Percent accident.
yeah, the laterals run directly into that manhole. Access port, yeah.
Yeah, right. That broke all our specs and details rules.
I'm sure.
Okay, we did some. I think I already made a motion.
We don't, I don't,
You don't need a
we
motion
don't
for
need
the
a motion,
engineers.
it's just for information.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was back on the item before. Yes, sorry.
Well, I did have another comment, actually. The Naples Beach Pump Station generator has been there since 1991, right at the edge of the bank and subject to lots of salt corrosion. Has it been inspected and rebuilt? Is it fine after all these years?
It's been there since 91, but they upgraded that electrical system. God, maybe 20 years ago, Matthew, 2004, 5, right after I got here. I'd have to check that. I don't remember back that far.
Yeah, that's
I'll make a note. I'll take a look at
That's
it.
a long
Yeah.
time for a generator in that location.
Well, and you're right. It literally comes right off the ocean there. So there's nothing blocking the salt there.
I do want to commend the engineer and Hope for being proactive on the review of the El Granada school lines. To make sure they didn't have the same issue as the Fairlawn view. It looks like they were in danger of having the same issue. So
Yeah, that's what I like about John Rayner. He's a smart engineer, but he's also practical. And you don't always get that. And he's just a practical guy and looks for the solution rather than the problem.
And hope.
and
Yeah.
next agenda item, report on sewer. Wait, do I need to do public comment? Any comments from the public on the engineer's report? Seeing that, we'll move on to item 7, report on sewer authority mid-coast side meetings.
I already did.
Okay, the big issue is still there. That we need to, Sam needs to comply with the ERF consent decree and that's
We're not gonna get it.
I don't think we need to discuss that.
Well, I can't say much then.
Okay, Sam
It's
did,
still the same issue that the IPS is
yes,
it's outside what happened they like agreed to pay for.
on a slightly different topic, Sam did decide to put 4 small projects on hold in order to replace the parts on the clarifier. And so that was kind of the first time that they had actually gone through that exercise. And we had a finance committee meeting today, and I gave them my stacked CIP thing I was telling you about, the Excel spreadsheet that shows them all on one. And the representatives from the other 2 agencies said, oh, this is good. Let's get it updated and review it at our next meeting. So I think that's good. Those are the main things that are going on. They won an award for workers' comp, which it was interesting because if you looked at the list of things that they had to turn in to get this reward, they had to analyze. It was quite a bit of staff time because they had to analyze all these, especially motions and tasks that people had to do that could potentially hurt their backs. And so, you know, it was a full page of different tasks of analysis that they had to do. And they turned it in, and they not only got a nice plaque and a banner, the workers are all going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple $100 award from the workers' comp agency or whatever. I don't think it's a state agency. It's maybe, I don't know what it is, but the people who give the award, there will be a benefit to the workers there, plus the additional safety that they have because they are paying a lot of attention to how they manage tasks that could affect their backs. So I thought that was a good, valuable thing to share.
Good preventative medicine.
Yeah. Oh, and one more thing, which is they did this great analysis of the flooding potential. Very long, complicated, and I recommend, I'm not going to try to summarize it here, but if you're interested, I think Michelle may have posted it on Coastside Buzz, and they looked at the potential for impacts to the plant from various levels of storms and various levels of sea level rise. And the determination is that the measures that they have taken right now is sufficient essentially for no sea level rise and a 100-year storm. And that they should go from 21 feet above sea level, which is their berm height now, to 27 feet above sea level to do a 500-year storm. But then when you start looking at sea level rise and erosion of the beach, that the opening of Pilarcitas Creek will move closer to the plant and cause additional potential problems. So it's actually quite an interesting study. And if you don't have anything else to do, you might want to go online and take a look at it. It's really actually pretty interesting.
It is interesting. It's 80 or 90 pages, and there's lots of great graphics, and it shows, you know, what can happen in this situation and that situation. But I have to say that every time I looked at one of those, I kept thinking, why did they build the sewer plant right where that creek goes into the ocean and where that ditch that drains several hundred acres comes in on the other side? And it's just astounding to me, but that's where it is.
Does Sam own the land between the plant and the frontage road? You know, when you go down
Yes,
that long street, so that's all their
On the-
property.
As you go in, they own the part on the right and not on the left.
I thought that was Half Moon Bay,
I think Half Moon Bay it may be a long-term.
because there
lease.
was that 99-year lease that came
Yeah.
out probably 10 years ago, I thought. But
Okay, I just noticed a long way in past just an open
Yeah.
field, and I wondered if that was an opportunity. As we, I think, talked the last time about the potential to move the electric room if they get a particular grant, and I wondered if they had space on the landward side of the plant to.
Yes, they have room to move it. It's not that big.
They have, several years ago, that topic came up that not moving the entire plant, but putting some facilities in there. And it turned out to be a lot of endangered species, problems in that case.
No, I don't. And then just one more thing, which is they recommended an additional study of groundwater issues, groundwater infiltration to the pipe, which they did not really look at.
No.
I did have I have had a couple of next door encounters with Superintendent Costello that were fun.
Yeah.
One is he did point out that if people have rain gutters are sometimes draining in to their laterals, that is actually putting stress on the plant on rainy days. And we had some ideas back and forth on other things people can do to reduce their like, don't run your dishwasher and washing machine on heavy rain days, just to reduce the amount of water going to the plant. And also had a post on the bags for fog that I guess they're not available at the plant, but Hope makes them available. I saw them on the Spangler's windowsill, and a couple other places that you can use to keep fog out of your drains.
That's oil and grease.
That's what it is. So Tim thanked me for that post.
I was like, what?
I'm
Yeah,
supposed to use it.
not have fog.
I was like, things they were putting on their windows for fog.
So after you make your beef stew and you have,
No, I understand that now.
I did a demo on my post.
did you?
You've been here too long.
I
It's called fog, right?
Like when I think, oh, I should post this on next door, and it's about fat, soil, and grease in the sewer
I
system.
didn't
I
see
am
that. I gotta find that.
fully
Yes, that-
integrated. Somebody did ask where they could get the bags, so I directed them to Spangler.
Okay.
And okay, before we, anything else on the, from our esteemed board members, any comments from members of the public on SAM report or other members?
So they still don't want to tell me anyway, but that's okay.
We'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes
Oh, God.
number 8, January 18th, regular meeting minutes. Number 9, February 2024 warrants. Number 10, December 2023 financial statements. And that's all. We have a motion to approve the consent decree.
So moved.
Second.
Director Randall and Director Guy. Any further comments on the consent decree? Any public comments on the consent agenda? Sorry.
What would we do without you?
That was such a brain work. Okay, seeing none, do we have roll call, please?
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dow,
Hi.
Director Marsh.
Aye.
Director Randall.
Aye.
Any committee, next, moving on, any committee reports? None, no seminars, conferences, or committee meetings. Information calendar, attorney's report. No report, general manager's report.
Nothing further.
Nothing further, administrative staff report.
Nothing further.
Nothing further, future agenda items, there's just 2 there. I think, Hope, the only other one that we talked about last time was the preliminary review of the CDP submission. That I think March or April. Yeah, that's right. Anything else? Nothing else? We'll adjourn to closed session.